As usual, I'll wait a few seconds here for YouTube to catch up and anybody who wants to listen and watch. Brandy, you're here all the time. I see you all the time. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And everybody else coming in here too. Again, I'm sorry I can't say hi to everybody. That would take quite a bit of time. I could probably do that all night long, actually, couldn't I? Yeah. Okay. I think we can get started. Everybody feel good about that? The picture I can't help. Again, this is a field expedient situation I'm in right now. I've been out in the dark all night. Some people say I'm out in the dark all the time, but you know what I mean, nighttime. Trying to type on that stupid little phone keyboard, which I constantly make typos, and then I'm trying to do other things. And yeah, I make a lot of typo errors, but I hope that you can understand what I was typing down there. So, and it's very late. It's been a long day. A lot of things have been happening. So I guess we'll get into that. Hello, everybody. I'm Roy Potter of the Potter Expositor on YouTube at Roy Potter QA. All of you already know that, but those who try to give me tips say that I need to say that every time. So that's the reason why I did it. Okay, so what am I doing here? Well, we're not going to be talking about Trump and about, Q or any of that. This is about the Bundy Ranch thing, because I see some things going on here that are obvious efforts by others to muddy the waters, okay, whether intentionally or not. And I'm going to mention a couple of their names, okay? I'm not going to degrade them or denigrate them, but I'm going to tell them that they're wrong, okay? I am going to do that. Okay, so earlier today, as some of you might know, I put out a live stream. And I said, and this is to Little Miss Potter, I think is her name. Funny, it's the same last name as mine. You know what? I said in my live stream video that I had not vetted all of the information yet, that was an alert. It's sort of like, hey, it looks like there's a hurricane coming. You might want to bar your windows, board up your windows and just get a little food and get ready just in case. And then, of course, the hurricane blows over. But you give the warning, you give the alert. And, I really wondered tonight whether I should come on here and even entertain these people, because that's what they're looking for. Okay, they're not serious. If you people out there well, let me back up for a minute. Okay, so I did that live stream and I talked about the problem that they're having in Vegas, and everybody knows it, that there's prosecutorial and judicial misconduct, and worse. Okay, we know that they have suppressed exculpatory information that would help the Bundys. They have restricted the witnesses and the defendants in talking about why they did the things they did. All of this is known, okay? The information that we have, and it's still good. I haven't found, nobody's called me and said that this thing is incorrect. There are a lot of people on Twitter that want to say this, okay? But my information came from Brand Thornton, who is in Las Vegas. He's been intimately involved with everything that's going on with the Bundy trials, okay? And he told me 2 days ago, okay, I got a text from him where he said, there's something crazy coming down the pike. Be available in a couple days. We can't talk about it now. We've been sworn to secrecy, but it'll come out in the next few days or maybe a week, okay? I didn't know what it was. Well, that's when we found out today that there are these whistleblowers from the DHS. Now, I said that I didn't vet this information yet, okay? As good as Brand can do, people can mistake things, okay? I'm not saying he made a mistake. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Okay? It looks like that and somebody brought up here, some guy by the name of, I'm going to look at James Ball, that this was somehow a criminal act, and it is not. These whistleblowers are not under a gag order, Mr. Ball. And we could talk about some other things, but I'm going to come back to him in a few minutes. Okay, so the point is, Little Miss Potter and Mr. Ball and Mr. Hunt, Gary Hunt, I'm sure you're going to be listening to this or you'll see it. I said that this was information that I have not vetted yet? Do you people not understand English? Or is it just you just don't watch the video? You just assume what it's going to say, and then you start all of this misinformation and disinformation. Do I look pissed? Yeah. Because I'm really wondering if it's even worth talking to you people. And I don't mean everybody here, of course. You think I understand that, right? Yeah, Mike Hunt. I'd have to look it up, but I think that's right. Okay. Point number one. Are you all listening? Point number one. How long did the Bundy deal go on? Even before I got there on April 9th, it had been going on for several weeks. And I was there with Brand Thornton from April 9th until the evening, or maybe of April 12th, or maybe the morning of April 13th. I'm not sure. So, Mr. Ball, you said that in our video that I just put up on YouTube and on Twitter, I didn't re-put it up on YouTube, I put it up on Twitter, and the title of it is Alert, Sheriff Gillespie Seeks Slaughter, New Information. Okay, you want to see this? All right, can you guys see that? It's right there on the bottom. To you, it's the bottom right-hand corner. Do you see that? And I sent it out there, and there's Mr. Ball right up there, too. Now, I know that camera's not very good, and you can't see it. The resolution's poor, and the lighting in here is bad. We had spent days out there, and he wants to make the complaint. I said in some of my earlier videos, even some of my interviews that I did with some of the media people, about the snipers that had been out there prior to the corral standoff on the 12th. Okay? I had talked about that, Mr. Ball. And if you had taken the time, as I've told everybody to do, and go back and do a little research, if you think you're so smart, go back and do a little research about those posts that I made back in April of 2014. Okay, that was a constant flow of reporting. And I talked about those things. Now, in this particular video that we did on the evening of the 12th and the morning of the 13th, I am pissed. Because I'm sick and tired of Americans bowing down to a corrupt and evil government and then trying to cover for it because they've got some investment in all of this corruption. And Ball is obviously one of them. So you had good Americans go out. They're not Antifa. They're not leftists. They weren't burning anything down. They weren't killing anybody. They weren't beating anybody up. They were saying, hey, government, this whole thing, this federal government taking over the land, for what? Uranium One that we now found out about. We actually knew it back then. And the Chinese deals. Really? And Mr. Ball wants to stand there and say these shitty-ass things he is on Twitter? You're a sad excuse for an American. A sad excuse. I'm going to say it again. We were out there for days, and in all of those reporting videos I put up, I talked several times about the snipers and about the observation posts and other things. On this day of the 12th, Mr. Ball, I wonder if you even got any balls, because you can sit there on Twitter and talk about this stuff. Have you ever gone out and stood for anything, Mr. Ball? Have you ever shown any balls, Mr. Ball? Yeah, I'm pissed. Okay. April 12th. If you look at this video, it starts off, it's about 6:30 in the morning. The sun was just coming up. And it had not been up there on Mormon Mesa prior to this day. And I looked up there and I saw an observation post, which, Mr. Ball, we later verified was also a sniper position, Mr. Ball. I thought that was odd. Okay? Well, then the sheriff shows up. And he's going to give a speech. All right? Well, I'm looking around and I'm thinking, all we need is to have some federal rogue agent like Lonnie Horiyuchi sitting up in the hills there somewhere and shoot the sheriff and then blame it on one of the good Americans here who are just trying to stand up for their rights. Both First and Second Amendment and the land rights of the Bundys. All of all of those things about the land rights, which was really what that was all about, so that you Americans can have some food to eat, which the Chinese want to take away from you, and which Agenda 21 and now Agenda 2030 wants to take away from you. You know, cull you like cattle, kill off billions of you, stick you in, you know, what is it, 200 to 300 square foot apartments. And if you don't know any of this stuff, it's because you're not looking, because it's out there and it's available, Mr. Ball. So I'm thinking, wow, I don't want the sheriff to get shot and then have it blamed on somebody else. And there were some criminals out there. Anytime you get a group like that, you're going to have criminals. The people out there were doing the best they could to vet everybody that came. And they sent those Miller people, the lady and the guy who ended up shooting that Las Vegas police officer, they sent them away. They didn't let them stay there because they knew they were trouble. They were never really part of that entire demonstration. They never were. They were told to leave. But they were a problem. And it was a self-policing community. They didn't put up with any of that shit. Okay? And then those Millers did that, and of course they blamed it on the Bundys. That was all MSM, CIA, BLM, FBI bullshit. I know how they work. Remember? Okay. So anyway, the sheriff gives a speech, and I've checked the hills as best I can. I've glassed them, you know, with binoculars. I've walked in some of the ravines. I've looked around. I'm pretty certain that there's nothing going to happen, at least not anywhere close by, and I was a little concerned about some other places distant. In other words, I was doing, you know, reconnaissance, Mr. Ball. And why would I do something like that, Mr. Ball? Because I know military tactics, Mr. Ball. And I know a battle that's forming when I see one, Mr. Ball and Mr. Hunt. This was a military warfare operation against the American people, period. So, the sheriff gets up, and lo and behold, what does he say? Mr. Ball, Mr. Hunt. I think Mr. Hunt was there. Wasn't Mike Hunt, somebody help me out here, wasn't Mike Hunt the first attorney for the Bundys who really screwed them up in this whole thing? I think he was, but I'm not sure about that. But considering what I've seen him say on Twitter, it's no doubt. If he was the Bundy's attorney, it's no wonder they got themselves wrapped around the axle. Attorneys, you know, lawyers, liars, incompetents. So anyway, and I'm not sure that's who that is. All right, so the sheriff gets up there, and this video that I put up on Twitter, again, the name of it is Alert, Sheriff Gillespie Seeks Slaughter, New Information, all right? The sheriff says, we've negotiated, we've talked to the BLM, they're leaving. You've won. They're going to release the cattle. It's over with. And everybody there, you can see it on my video, it's USA, 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 that kind of stuff, right? You think people would do that if they know that the BLM's going to point guns at them again when they go over there to watch the cattle release? Really, Mr. Ball, Mr. Hunt? So the sheriff makes this announcement. Now, Bundy says something that bugs me. He waits a few minutes, and then he says to the sheriff, and I can hear him say this, admittedly, okay, but he's a rancher. He's a freaking rancher. You know, he's not a sophisticated lawyer, Mr. Hunt and Mr. Ball. But he says to the sheriff, Sheriff, what you need to do is you need to go and collect the weapons from those BLM agents, because they've committed some unlawful things here. And you're the supreme law enforcement in this county, and you have the ability to do that, and in fact you should, because of everything that's happened here. And if you don't know, Mr. Ball and Mr. Hunt, go back and look at my videos, the interviews, and all that stuff that happened back there if you don't know. The beating up of Davy Bundy, making a false arrest, imprisoning him, and then realizing they made a mistake and they drop him off on the side of the road later, that like a day later or something like that. Have you ever heard of that, Mr. Ball or Mr. Hunt? Do you know what that is? It's false imprisonment. Then they try to charge him for it, what, 2 years later? Ha! What a joke. All right, get back on Gillespie. So anyway, that deal with you know, that was, in my estimation at least, that was a little far on Clive and Bundy's part. Not that I think the BLM is a legitimate organization. It is not. It is not under the Constitution in any way, shape, or form. And during this entire thing, I am certain that there were Israelis amongst those BLM agents. And if they weren't Israelis, they were at least Middle Eastern contractors. Guaranteed. All right, I've been around. So anyway, the sheriff, of course, isn't going to do that. All right, he's a puppet, you know, but he says that the BLM and he have come to an agreement that the BLM's leaving. Do you understand what I just told you, Mr. Ball and Mr. Hunt? And whoever else out there doesn't get it. So they wait around for a couple of hours because they figure because Bundy has some cowboys over at the corrals waiting for the release. Well, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And I'm not going to go through all the details here, okay? I don't want to spend that much time. You know how I am. I'm so verbose. So finally, Cliven says, well, they're not releasing the cattle. Go over there and, you know, kind of encourage them to do that. So the people go over there, not with the idea that they're going to confront these assholes dressed out in full military battle rattle, with sniper positions on Mormon Mesa and several other places. An MRAP, at least one that we saw, not far from where all this was taking place, and we found out that there were armed with automatic weapons and other military equipment BLM agents. Gee, if they were leaving, why would they do that? Why would they set up in a tactical thing? And I got to tell you, Dan Love put his people in enfilade fire, Mr. Ball and Mr. Hunt. If you don't know what that is, go check it out, okay? Which was really stupid because I had heard that Dan Love had special forces training. I don't know that for a fact. But even a stupid kid knows that you don't line up in enfilade. Okay? Why did Love do that? We found out later, although I could see it on the ground at the time, right? With all the information we had, the videos and everything that were, you know, being transmitted at the time, that the BLM the night before was getting ready, early morning hours, to have this confrontation, not to leave, but to have the confrontation, to have the armed confrontation. This was planned by Love, and everything that transpires after sheriff's information at the demonstration area on the stage proves it. So the people get over there, and right off the bat, what happens to the Fox News correspondent, Mr. Hunt, and Mr. Ball, as Michael Lynch is coming up with his camera? He's the head guy. He's walking up there before everybody else does. They're just getting there. And what is the BLM saying to him? We have a court order, and you come any closer, and we're going to kill you. We're going to shoot you. Really? Well, let's see. The last time I heard about that, that's an assault. That's a terroristic threat. Especially with an unarmed cameraman, reporter. If the people with their Second Amendment had showed up there without using their Second Amendment, I have no doubt that there would have been a slaughter that day because they planned it. They wanted it. The information that's come out today, if it's fully vetted, and I said earlier today, and I'm going to say it again, Mr. Ball and Mr. Hunt, I don't have all the details. Do I think there might be a DHS whistleblower? Possibly. And maybe, Mr. Ball, you're out there with this information about that to try to discourage people from thinking that, wow, maybe the Bundys really are innocent, because this is a mind game with you, Mr. Ball. not a factual game. You're not into facts, or you would let exculpatory evidence be number one, because this is supposed to be the United States of America where you're innocent until proven guilty, Mr. Ball. Mr. Hunt, I don't know about you. I'm holding off on you for just another couple of minutes. Do you see what happens here? Look at the pictures from that day at the corral with the full battle rattle of the BLM. And then look at the crowd of the demonstrators, women, children. Yeah, there were some people with firearms there. It wasn't even federal property. This is state property. And there can be an argument, oh, well, this is the scene of a crime. Yeah, they make that afterwards. It's called stacking charges. It's one of the worst things about our judicial and justice system. I was a cop, I know. It's disgusting. You were after those people's land, and that's what it was all about. It wasn't about the turtles. And even if it had been, you didn't need to go in there like that, like you were going to do a Waco, which is what you were going to do, Dan Love, and you know it. BLM officers were caught later when we got the footage. It was leaked to us. Sitting back there in the morning as the demonstrators are coming up to the corrals, and they're talking amongst each other. Oh, we're going to have our lethal line right here. Yeah, you take this guy out. You take that guy out. Yeah, fire those people on the horses. Shoot all them. You can hear them making these plans of warfare, Mr. Ball and Mr. Hunt. I didn't need to hear all those. I got trained eyes. I was in the military for 28 years. And I can see all of this, and I'm going, holy shit. Okay, I've gone on for a long time here. Then, of course, the BLM is finally told to stand down. By whom? Sheriff, he's not an undersheriff, he's an assistant sheriff, I think. Sheriff Roberts. Gillespie didn't do it. Lombardo didn't do it. Lombardo's in bed with the feds, as we see with the Las Vegas shooting. Right? He doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. He proved it in the Bundy thing and in the Las Vegas shooting. He's nothing but a patsy. So Sheriff Roberts goes up there and he orders Dan Love and the BLM to leave. That's why they left. They didn't leave because they felt threatened like they were saying in the court bullshit. The couple of BLM agents or whoever they had and a couple of Las Vegas police officers, like, I forget his name, Sergeant something or other. I don't remember his name right now. Jenkins, I think was his name. You know, that they were scared. Really? Really? You really want those kind of law enforcement officers, if that's really what they are? They're afraid of women and children, a few people with their Second Amendment rights? Really? When the other side has military-grade weapons pointed at those people? Really? What kind of cowardice is that? And these BLM agents crying on the stand. Really? One of them was a female. I guess that makes it. And no, I'm not going to be politically correct. She's in the wrong profession. Well, at any rate. So they're ordered to leave. And they do. The BLM leaves. In the laws of land warfare, that's called a surrender when you surrender the field, Mr. Ball and Mr. Hunt. That argument's never been made, even though the Department of Justice said that this was an armed conflict. Then the laws of land warfare should have been applied, Mr. Hunt and Mr. Ball. I said this during the trial. I said, what's wrong with these defense attorneys? As soon as the DOJ said that this was an armed conflict, everything that they were trying to do criminally went away. The laws of land warfare, surrendering the field by the BLM, the federal government. The Bundys won that day, technically. But of course, the federal government and people like Mr. Ball, who don't believe in the Constitution of the United States but want to sit out there and complain that I didn't talk about snipers after I had been up for hours, but I had said it in other videos, and we described the situation that was there. I'll block you, Mr. Ball. I never want to see you on my Twitter channel again. Ever. All right. So you know the rest of the story after that. Military grade equipment. Go look at the pictures. The tactical layout of what they had. Okay? It was a military operation designed to be Mr. Ball and Mr. Hunt, who doesn't think that there was a hit list? Really? Really? Who the hell told you that? What makes you think that you have even an inkling of what the truth is when you can't see it with your own eyes, Mr. Hunt? This was going to be a mass murder on the scale of Waco. That's what this was. And it's going to come out. It's going to come out. It already has to some extent, but it's going to come out more. I just hope, I really do, that the information on this DHS whistleblower, 2 of them is what I understand, not just one, that there are 2 of them, is real. I hope it's true. And you know what, Mr. Ball? If they were willing to put their lives on the line, these 2 whistleblowers, you know, if they were willing to lay down their freedom, their liberty, to protect their fellow man, even in violation of these laws that you're talking about, in order to make sure that innocent people go free, I'll tell you what, those are the people that I want as my next door neighbor. Not your kind. Okay? Not your kind. Because you'll sell your mother's soul for a penny. Don't ever come back here. Ever. Ever. On my Twitter channel. Ever. Or on this one. I don't ever want to see you again. Or a pseudonym from you. You're a disgrace. All right. Well, I think I got that out, okay? Everybody like that? You ever seen me really mad? Doesn't happen very often, not like this. Not when I see assholes like this who probably never stood up for a goddamn thing of any worth in their whole life. Okay, little Miss Potter, you understand now? You're my namesake. I can't get too mad at you. But I don't know who you are. The way you came on tonight on my Twitter channel and the way you acted, you don't know what you're talking about. You certainly weren't there. And you certainly aren't keeping up on what's happening. So maybe what you should do is research a little bit. Maybe what you should do is maybe instead of dictating and trying to lecture me, maybe ask me, gee, Roy, what is it that happened there? Well, frankly, at this point, this is the last time I'm doing this. From now on, everybody get this straight. You want to know what happened at Bundy Ranch? You go to the videos on this channel that I have made, or you go watch Michael Lynch's channel, right? Fox News reporter, go watch that, or any number of other Bundy Ranch What Really Happened videos that were taken by not only demonstrators, but by people who stopped on the road to see what was going on, okay? Because I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to waste my time with people that have an agenda to destroy the constitutional republic of the United States of America. You're the enemy. Period. Okay. I think I've said my piece. P-E-A-C-E, not P-I-E-C-E. Mr. Hunt, instead of talking about what you think didn't really happen, why don't you look at the facts from my point of view as a military officer who saw it on the ground? And if you were, and I think you were, I could be mistaken. I haven't seen on here any verification either way or the other. If you were the Bundy's attorney at some point in time, you did a hell of a poor job. So I think you're the last person that should be out there telling anybody anything. Okay? All right. Okay. We got your 6th Lieutenant Colonel. Well, I'm not a Lieutenant Colonel anymore. Okay, no, that's... I can't say that. And I've been around, that's for sure. Okay. Can I answer any questions here? Have I cleared all this up? And I'm going to say this one more time again. My live stream from earlier today, I have not vetted the information, and I said that then. The truth might be somewhere in between, but there is no question that the defense attorneys somehow got a hold, or this information came out some other way, okay, with some people who were able to get a hold of me. I don't know what the details are. I don't know how it happened. I don't know that. But Brant Thornton called me up and said that Ammon Bundy wanted this information to get out because apparently it's going to become quite a bit of public knowledge. However it occurred. Whether the whistleblowers went to Ammon, whether the whistleblowers told somebody else, you know, I don't know. Okay? But that's what we're looking for. We're going to watch it over the next few days. And I'm doing the best I can to vet it. I haven't got any new information yet. Probably for a number of reasons. Okay? I just saw Lavoy Finicum's name. Yes. God rest his soul. You know, they shot an unarmed man and then planted a weapon on him that wasn't his. And the FBI HRT did that. And of course, once, if you've ever been in battle, Mr. Ball or Mr. Hunt, when you have people with weapons and a round goes off, it usually becomes a free-for-all. If you don't know that, unless you have good fire discipline. And unfortunately, the FBI has never been really good at that. And certainly not the Oregon State Police. They shot an unarmed man in cold blood. They had been shooting at his car with 2 women in there and Ryan Bundy. Ryan Payne, I think was the other guy's name. He got out earlier. What cowardice. And you set up a roadblock against Oregon State law. The way you did it. Oh, but, you know, they were trying to run a roadblock. No, they didn't see it until they were already coming around the corner. You lying pieces of shit. That's why they were, I guess, found not guilty up in Oregon. But Lavoy Finicum, his blood was spilled on the ground, and it's crying out against all of you corrupt, demonic, Luciferian worshipers. Okay? It's crying out from the ground against you. And if Trump doesn't do anything else, I hope he hears that call, that call from the Spirit of God to judge you for your evil crimes. Brightsig, who happened to be Mormon, he was the FBI agent in charge up there in Oregon. Brightsig was his name. He was Mormon. And you wonder why I don't like Mormons? Well, it's not just because of that. Well, I don't dislike Mormons, but these people that run these things that think that they're so important. Sorry, any Mormons out there, I didn't mean to insult you. I'm insulting people who don't live their faith. They're hypocrites. So you had Brightsig, and then you had the U.S. attorneys up there. I forget their names right now. Who designed all of this? This was all done to protect Hillary and the Uranium One deal against the Hammonds and against the Bundys. And then Harry Reid down in Nevada. Okay, you all should know all of this by now. If you don't, go back and look at my videos from April of 2014 and take a little time and research it for yourself. Okay? Because I'm not going to do this again. I'm just not. Okay, let me take some questions real quick, and then I'll probably go have a little scotch. Or nah, I don't like scotch. Maybe some Fireball. I don't know, something. You know. Bundy, well, yeah. Mike Hunt. If the attorneys that they have now, if it was Mike Hunt before, he was dropped a long time ago. But I think if he's the attorney, and I'm not sure he is, I'm not sure who he is. I know I've heard his name before, and I didn't take the time to search him on the internet tonight. I don't go looking into people's private lives, but it was obvious from what I could see that he was talking from kind of like an attorney's perspective. Okay, so I think he was Bundy's attorney prior to the people that they have now. Okay, yeah, I know he's not their attorney now. I know that. Okay, wild turkey? Nah, I mean, it's okay. Have a drink. I missed that. Okay, let me slow this down a little bit. Let me see. Somebody says here, you put the whistleblower at risk. No. No, this was a deliberate exposure. Do you not understand that? What's your name? Trump Movement to MAGA? You think I'm that stupid? Yeah, I am a little irritated, okay? You're not talking to a Johnny-come-lately here, okay? This was designed to be released, to be leaked the way it has been. It's not putting anybody at risk. It was done at the request of these whistleblowers. Do you understand that? Don't make assumptions. God, You know, no wonder America's in so much trouble. We're arrogant, we're decadent, and we're stupid as fucking hell. You know, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can put up with this kind of bullshit. Stand up for your fucking constitutional rights and those of your neighbor. Remember what Jesus said? Maybe you're not a Christian, but it still applies, right? The golden rule. And no greater love hath a man than this, than to lay down his life for his fellow man. Get your goddamn priorities straight. Ball and hunt, and that goes for you too. Instead of out there, you know, criticizing people who are trying to do something, go out and do something. Put your ass on the line. Get a little skin in the game. You can't do it sitting down and watching your fucking computer screen. Sorry, ladies. It is. What time is it tonight? 11 o'clock Mountain Time. So it's not a family show. Oh, no. I understand what you're saying. Don't cut off everybody else. I understand. But I do lose my patience. Okay. Let's see if I can answer any decent questions here. I'm not going to go into Alabama, what a clusterfuck that was. And I understand from looking at Q and some other things that this may have been a plan by Sessions and Trump. I don't know. A friend of mine says that he can't believe that, and he has some very good reasons for saying it, and it's possibly true. Where the hell are the senators and the congressmen standing up for Trump? Standing there and saying, you know, shut this bullshit down. You fucking cowards. There are a few of you. You know, Jordan, Glassley, I forget his name right now. It's late, like I said. Trey Gowdy, all he does is prance around with fancy words and never does a damn thing. You know, I'm really getting disgusted. Now, I won't turn everybody off for a few stupid asses. I won't do that. Insane Orange. Well, Merry Christmas to you too. Merry Christmas to all of you. Yeah, and God bless you too. I don't like tobacco or marijuana or any of that stuff. I can't handle it. You know, I was in a rock band when I was in high school and college, and yeah, I didn't do any of that. I didn't drink, didn't use marijuana, didn't use tobacco, none of that stuff. Didn't pop pills, inject anything. I never did any of that. Some of the other band members did, of course, in those days. And they gave me the nickname. Now, don't make fun of me, okay? This is a long time ago. They called me the Rose. But roses have thorns, right? So, you know, keep that in mind. Do not get honey potted. Boy, I could tell you some stories about that. Yeah, they've actually tried to do that on a number of occasions. But I haven't got anything to hide. I'm not blackmailable. Everybody knows what I am, who I am, where I've been, what I've done, what I stand for. You know, if they think they're going to come in and find some little thing that they can, you know, blackmail me with, good grief, man. Yeah, and I've told them that it's not going to work. And I'll tell you this one story, and I may have told you this once before. So it was after the Bundy Ranch thing, and of course, you know, they're sending out their feelers, you know, their new greeny, you know, intelligence operatives, you know, they're going to go out there on their first case, you know, they don't, again, they're so green that, you know, they're still oozing sap. You know, they just left their mommy. And I could spot them a mile away. And these intelligence people, they know, hey, yeah, you know, Roy likes curvaceous, you know, not real tall blondes, but you know, between 5'4", 5'5" to 5'7", somewhere in there, you know, that kind of thing. And so those are always the ones that show up, right? I was going out there to upload one of my videos, and I'd go to different spots to do this from time to time. But I get lazy every once in a while. I go to the same one, you know, 2 or 3 times in a row because it was just easier. But of course, then, you know, you're on your you know, the net, and you know, they can pick you up, you know, and they go, oh, you know, Potter's over here, you know, let's go see what he's up to. And I'd see cop cars, you know, they come and they park right in front of me if I was in my car, you know, trying to intimidate me, you know. It's called gang stalking if you don't know what that is. You know, pull up to me beside on the road, you know, sit there and just kind of gawk at me, you know, those kinds of things, because they've been told by the Fusion Center, oh, see if he's, you know, if he's out there and he's, you know, coordinating with anybody to do any terrorist things, you know, yeah, right, you're right. Anyway, getting back to the story. So I'm sitting there and I'm typing, and this, just my type, comes in, and, I try not to, I always assume that a woman's married. I just do that. That's just what I do. So, I'm not going to do anything. But she comes and she sits, where else? Right next to me. Well, that's the first possible. Well, the first giveaway is what she looks like, and the second giveaway is she sits right next to me. So, a few minutes goes by, and then out of the blue, this one of the ways that they're green. What are you doing here? She says. And so, I'm uploading this. I didn't tell her what it was. I just said I was doing some computer work. And then she says, well, I'm a real estate agent. Well, I didn't ask her what she did, but she volunteered it. Well, I happen to know that a lot of undercover intel people use real estate companies as their fronts because they can have the license, they can show it, they can say they work there, even if they've never sold one piece of real estate in their entire career, right? It's a good cover. Okay. So that was kind of my third warning, or second or third. And then out of the blue, she says, what do you think about what happened up there in Oregon? And at the Bundy Ranch in Nevada. And she throws out a couple of names of some of the people involved, who most of them I didn't really know anyway. And I looked at her and I said, I hope you're enjoying this story. And I looked at her and I said, you're a Fed, aren't you? You're trying to pump me for information. But you know what? That's okay. I was in law enforcement. I was a military police officer, military intelligence officer. I was a police officer on the street for a few years. I have a lot of respect for you. What are you doing tonight? You want to go out to dinner? I'd like to date you, even if you are a Fed, checking up on me. So what? Wow, she couldn't get out of there fast enough. I mean, she gathered her stuff up and boom, she was out the door. Other things like that happen, and some not so blatant as that. Some were, watching from a distance. And, this one guy, I think I even put this up on my YouTube channel. It was a team. It was a lady and a guy. And the lady was out there first, but, they switch it up so that you don't think they're watching you. So she leaves, and now this guy comes and sits down, right? Well, I can tell he's watching me, so I go, yeah, here we go again. So I get up and I exit before you kind of time it a certain way, okay? And there's a way to hide yourself and real fast, and I'm not going to tell you about all the little tricks of the trade, but I kind of skate out of there and I go around the building, and now I'm standing behind him. He's sitting at a table. It's outside. He's sitting at a table. He's facing away from me, and I'm about, and my car's right there, and I'm about, maybe, 20 yards from him, something like that. Is it normal for you to turn around and look behind you when you're in a seat looking at a book or a computer, looking this way, and then, well, his Overwatch, his companion, this lady, was apparently sitting maybe across the street. There was a McDonald's over there. She could have been in the lot. And she told him, she said, oh my God, he's behind you. He's standing right behind you. And that's when he turned around and looked at me. Then I knew, for a fact. And I got in my car and I drive up, and then he gets up to leave to go get in his car because I guess they think they're going to follow me. And I just said, toodaloo, And more things happened than that, a lot more. But that just kind of gives you an idea. So, what are they afraid of? They're afraid of us exercising our constitutional, our God-given, constitutionally protected rights. That's what they're afraid of. Law enforcement embarrasses me anymore. I see the things that happen in the United States, and I know Trump is for cops. I know he's for all these things, but there are a lot of problems out there, and it's not just because of what Obama did. These problems with the police started many years ago. I'd say back in the 80s, probably. Yeah, maybe even before that, but certainly by the 80s. That's another topic. I won't go in there. It's just a tragedy. Like that poor guy that got shot. He was drunk in Arizona. Did you see that? And the cop shoots him with an automatic M16, AR-15, whatever the hell it was. The kid didn't even do anything. He was trying to follow instructions as best as he could. That's what they tell cops now. It used to be a use of force continuum, where you met the amount of force that's being used against you with just enough to control the situation. But now they say, oh, police officer, if you fear for your life, you can use deadly force. Oh, yeah, all you got to do is say you feared for your life. That's all you've got to say. Well, why are you wearing a badge then, swearing to uphold the Constitution of the United States and to protect and to serve? I'm embarrassed. It's one of the reasons why I don't even have my uniforms around anymore. You know, a lot of people keep them, you know, their army uniforms or police uniforms. And, oh, look, you know, look how important, you know, and I really enjoyed my time, or whatever. You know, kind of reminisce about it. Not me. I'm sad about it because our military has been used unjustly around the world to kill innocent people and then turned even on the American people. Oh, yeah, it might not be the actual DOD, but then there's the BLM and there's the FBI, right? Okay, I'm getting sarcastic now. You know, it's late. When I get tired, I get giddy. Let me see if I can go through some of this, if I see any questions. I appreciate a lot of you putting up with me tonight. Blood pressure. Ryan O'Donnell. Oh, yeah, it's up a little bit right now. Okay. Well, then release the name of the people trying to harm you. Are you asking me that? I'm just going to pass on that. I'm going to figure that you're talking to somebody else because, first of all, I'm not going to do that, right? And I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't say there was anybody trying to harm me. They were trying to get information. I'll tell you what that was all about. They're not going to grab me and rendition me and take me somewhere. They wanted to do to me what they did to Randy Weaver. They wanted to turn me so that I would be an informant. Well, I'm not a Benedict Arnold. Okay? And I told them in a video that I sent them during this time period that I will never work for them. They weren't trying to harm me. They were trying to intimidate me, get me to help them out. And I'm not going to do that. That's wrong. I'm not going to do that. Military bearing. Oh, come on. Give me a little break. You know, I've been out of the military since 2004. I mean, come on, you know. Military bearing. You never saw Patton, did you? He could cuss like a well, he could cuss and he could carry on and all that, but he kept his bearing. I'm still standing up straight. I'm not hunched over, you know, or anything like that. I'm speaking right at you. Like I said, I really don't know. Ooh, Fireball and hot chocolate. You know, I'll bet you that. Now, Drambuie. You know, the first time I had Drambuie was in 1999, I think it was. Yeah, I kind of like that stuff. A little expensive. You know, they make some generic types that aren't too bad. I'm not going to get into the Jewish thing. Actually, you can see plenty of my things on YouTube about that too if you want to take the time to look at it. And I certainly have the credentials to talk about all of that stuff. Okay, like I said, I touch on some of these other topics you want, but you know, this is really about the Bundy thing, so I'm just kind of seeing if there's anything that I can answer on that here right now is really all I want to do. Is Kate Brown targeted? By whom? Not by any, not by any citizens, no. By Trump? Probably, as are a lot of these people. I don't think that they're on sealed indictments. I don't think that's the case. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. You know, I do some of these live streams late at night, and I don't use a teleprompter, obviously. And last night, I said 12,000 indictments. Scott Anthony and I had been, and Scott Anthony is a guy on one of our teams here. We do some work together on things. And we had been talking about the indictments, and at the time that we had been talking, there were only like about 1,100 of them that they had found, right? And he was saying, well, that's too big for the system. They're not going to go after that many people. They'll probably select 20 specific ones and then make an example of them. Now, he had been in serious investigations in law enforcement, so he kind of knew these things. And I had dealt with it, but I'd never really dealt with a grand jury before, okay, not directly. So we had that discussion, and then, of course, the number kept going up, and it went to about, it's over 4,000 now. I saw one person today say that they actually think it's up like 9. I can't verify that. Okay, I'm not saying that. I do know that they're over 4,000. And so last night I was talking and I was thinking 1,000 to 4,000, but I was saying that out of those, I only think that 1,200 of them are going to be worked. Okay, that's what I meant when I said 12,000. I should have said 1,200, so I hope I cleared that up here too. So I was thinking 1,000 to 4,000, not 12,000, 1,200. I figure that they're probably going to go after about that many, about 1,200 people total, making examples. And I'm not talking about MS-13 there. I'm talking or those types of people. I'm talking about serious treason, crimes, high crimes, misdemeanors, things like that by politicians, etc. Probably about 1,200. I'm figuring that might be high, but that I think that's probably about where we're going to see that go. Okay, so sorry I said 12,000, man. Whew. That'd be nice though, wouldn't it? Man, we got 12,000 of those bastards thrown in jail. Boy, that'd be great. Okay, anything else here? Mike, no, I'm not gonna. I never liked that word. Can you see that, everybody? I don't know if it's on your screen or not. Maybe it's not. I've never been able to use that word. I just can't. The worst women in the world, I would never call that name. Which brings me to another topic. Boy, I'm really going on here. Oh boy, you might like this though. I kind of told the story once before, but then I left a cliffhanger. I didn't really finish it. And what it was I was at this RV park, and the security people had got to know me pretty well. It was in Fresno, California. And they knew about my background. We'd sat and we'd talk security stuff and police stuff and all this. Well, there were fights and gang fights every night, right? Well, this one night, it was after dark, and I heard these shots go off, and it was obviously a 9mm, and they were actually shooting above the RV was that I was staying, and I could hear the bullets going over the top. And I went, what the heck, So, I'm getting myself out to check this out, and I hear these people running up to my trailer, and I've told this story before, but I'm going to finish it this time. So, and this has to do with about women, okay? So you guys hold on, you'll like this, I think. So, and you ladies too. So they run up and they're pounding on my door, and they go, Roy. And I open the door and they say, do you hear they're shooting at us? They're shooting at us. What do we do? And I said, dig a foxhole. And I slammed the door. And I was just kidding. Okay. So then I opened the door up, I left them there with their mouths hanging down and their eyes wide open. But, I did. I went back out and we kind of did a security search of the area there, and everything was okay. The fight had moved on or whatever. Nobody was laying on the ground shot or anything like that. And so we're sitting there kind of shooting the breeze a little bit, before everybody turns in. And the guys go, gosh, Roy, are you afraid of anything? Is there anything you're afraid of? And if any of you know my background, it's pretty extensive. And I said, well, especially lately in the last few years, you can't believe the things I've been through with this in this regard. But I said, well, yeah, there's one thing I'm really afraid of. And they said, what's that? And I said, a bad woman. There's nothing better in the universe than a good woman. And there's nothing worse in the universe than a bad one. And with that, ladies, I'm sure you're all the good ones, okay? Or you wouldn't be here. All right? Okay, let me just quickly run through what else is here and see if there's anything else. Valium. I don't like drugs. I've never been like, I go to the VA and they'll offer me stuff. No, I don't want any of that stuff. I like to be in control of my faculties. The furthest I'll go is, like I say, my doctor, and I'm sure he's watching this right now. He'll say, lay off the Crown Royal, Roy. It's not good for you. I've had some health things that were caused by a VA deal that happened years ago. They hurt me really pretty bad, and it's had some after effects, and that's the reason why I was sick this year quite a bit earlier, if any of you know about that, actually the last couple of years. And he says, remember, you can't drink that stuff, it's not good for you. Have a little sip of wine, that's about it. Nah, I can't have that. I can't do that little bit. Hey, somebody's asking here, and it's probably right. Pedro Basio, I think is his name. It says, whose ball? It's on my, I checked into him a little bit, but not like I searched him out. I just checked his Twitter page. This is him here. From the way he talks, he's probably been through law school. or he's a civil servant of some sort, or he's a self-serving bureaucrat. I don't know, any number of things. But he made an attack on my video, you know, not watching anything else I did, not seeing all the other things we talked about, but just the one video where we talked about why we thought that this whole thing was a military ambush by the BLM. The Sheriff Gillespie set the demonstrators up for Bundy Ranch. And so Ball, he's using a similar tactic, okay? And they do it all the time. That's why I think he's probably been through law school. You know, you'll say something and they'll try to exclude everything else that you've ever said and tie you to that particular episode. And, you know, he's just a two-bit lawyer, probably. And you know, I'm not going to deal with him anymore, and I've already told him that. And I never want to see his ass on here again or on my Twitter, because I'll just block you. Oh yeah, you could probably come up with another handle, another account, but you know, you pull that shit again, you're out of here. I just don't gonna put up with it. You know. Okay, I think we're done. Thanks everybody. It's been wow, almost an hour. I just was going to do a quick update. If I find out more information about the whistleblowers, about the Bundy situation, you know, all of that, I will give you the updates, and I will give you, you know, as much information as I can. I don't know who's in control of this leak on the whistleblowers, but there was that Twitter account which I put out on Twitter. And I don't know how I can give it to anybody on YouTube. I have no way of actually posting that for you. But it was at, if you're on the Twitter, it's at DHS, and I said this before, at DHS Whistler. Okay, and you can look at the video before this one and you can find out what that is. Is it for real? I don't know. That could be actually a way to kind of get people off the real whistleblowers. You know, this is another semi-intelligence operation, so that could be a decoy while the real ones, you know, are giving their depositions or, you know, swearing out the stuff, or whoever, you know. And I know that the prosecution has a right to know who's going to be testifying. I know about all that, okay? But extenuating circumstances call for, you know, special procedures. And with all the corruption in the courts down there and across the country, but especially on this Bundy trial, they've got to try to go about it another way. And so it's very likely that that's what's happening. Okay. All right, everybody. Again, Merry Christmas. Thanks for coming tonight. I hope we cleared a few things up. I hope I didn't cuss too much. I don't normally do that. It takes a lot to get me to this point, and I just had it fed up today. Some other things happened in the last 24 hours. That kind of added to this agitation that I've got right now. So, and it all had to do with what I do here on YouTube and the information that's coming in, and accusations of people, not against me necessarily, I'm not talking about that, but just to see how people are treating each other in this country just disgusts me anymore. Just absolutely disgusts me. We're not going to survive this if we don't have a change of heart, ladies and gentlemen. It's like I said, it's the time of the great divide. We're not going to be able to do anything about the people that choose the evil side, because they're going to be right whether they're right or not, right? They're going to have the last word. So we just have to be willing to separate from them. And it could tear the country apart. It absolutely could. But you know what? It's either that or assent and consent to the evil. And we can't do that. We can't do that. Love y'all. Take care.